Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy. And today we're going to be talking about Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett because it's going down this Saturday night live in Austin, Texas from the Moody Center. What a name for an arena. You got two top 10 featherweights trying to stake a claim that they could be potential frontrunners for the next title shot against the winner of Max Holloway versus Volkanovski 3. Calvin Kattar, obviously known for his boxing for MMA, nasty jab, but it's not just that, man. I mean, the guy's durability is absolutely insane. You saw that last fight against Giga, been adding new wrinkles to his game. And Josh Emmett, one of the hardest hitters in the featherweight division. He's had 7 fights at 145 pounds, 11 knockdowns in those 7 fights. He's had a knockdown in every single one of his 145-pound fights. So you could say that this is one of the hardest hitters in all of the featherweight division, and it's not an argument. When you have now, is it considered an 100% knockdown rate, or is it over 100% just because he's landed more knockdowns than fights he's had at featherweight, and every single fight included? It's just the first one he had against Felipe Aranches. He set the record for most knockdowns in featherweight history with 4 in that fight. So the dude hits hard, but let's not forget that this guy's a credentialed wrestler too. So there's a lot of elements to the table on both sides, and I'm excited to talk about this fight. So let's get right down to business, y'all. Everybody smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, share, comment, retweet, all that, and let's get down to business. So first up, we got Calvin Kattar. He's 23-5, taking on Josh Emmett, who is 17-2. And currently they got it Calvin Kattar minus 230. The comeback on Josh Emmett is plus 195. So it's interesting. Kattar was a slight dog, maybe even pick 'em odds against Max Holloway. Then he was a huge dog against Giga Chikadze. Now he's a big favorite against Josh Emmett. So it's interesting how recency bias plays into the lines. And when you talk about a guy like Josh Emmett, most of the time, not always, but most of the time, he's actually the favorite. This kind of, I want to check the history, but this is one of the first times I've seen in a while that he's been this big of an underdog in a fight. Let me check if that's correct, because I can't recall the last time I saw Josh Emmett as a plus 200 dog. Not against Ige, not against Burgos. He was actually a dog against Mirsad Bektic, knocked him out with a jab. Look, he's been an underdog in some of these fights, but he's never been this big of an underdog since actually his fight against Ricardo Ramos in 2017. He was actually a bigger underdog. He was a plus 245 dog when he sent Ricardo Ramos into the shadow realm. So you cannot sleep on this guy, Josh Emmett's power, for 1 second. Again, 7 fights at featherweight, 11 knockdowns. He's knocked down all 7 of his opponents at 145 pounds. So I guess the question is he going to be the first man in UFC history to knock down Calvin Kattar? Now, Kattar's there to be hit, man. I mean, according to the numbers, and we have a very good sample size, he gets hit, close to 8 times per minute. Now, one could make the argument those numbers might be skewed because of the Max Holloway fight. But even if we take away the Max Holloway fight, let's even talk about some of his wins. The fight against Giga Chikadze, 128 significant strikes absorbed. The fight against, I know, the Shane Burgos fight, the Renato Moicano fight. Like, Calvin gets hit a lot. Even the fight where he knocked out Jeremy Stevens, he was getting tagged up early. So my thing is, I definitely view Calvin Kattar as the minute winner here. I definitely think that jab's going to be on point. And it's not just the boxing for MMA. This guy's been adding kicks to his game. You saw that last fight. He's spinning now. We're throwing spinning shit now, like Nick Diaz would say. Those elbows were on point. And then also, he mixed in a takedown, which kind of threw a curveball and got Giga really tired. Now, I don't think that Calvin's going to be able to take down a credentialed wrestler like Josh Emmett. But interestingly enough, the takedown stats for Josh Emmett ain't exactly the best. 58% defense, but the guy's able to pop right back up. He's really good at creating scrambles. So I actually wouldn't look too much into that takedown defense number for Emmett. And I honestly don't think that Kattar is going to be coming out here taking down a guy like Emmett. So kind of the way I see this fight playing out, either guy could get an early knockout for sure. But if we're trying to look at it, if it goes 5 rounds, how's it going to go down? I think the minute winner is Calvin Kattar. However, Emmett's got that ability to steal rounds. Like, he could be getting jabbed up for 4 minutes straight, land one big shot that wobbles Kattar, potentially become the first man to drop Kattar, take it a step further, the first man to knock out Kattar. If he's dropping or wobbling a guy like Kattar, he can steal rounds like that, even if he's getting picked apart throughout the minutes. So that's the big thing you got to look out for. And then to take it a step further, the odds. Like, if I'm laying minus 230 on Kattar, I want some guarantees. Like, I want to know without a shadow of a doubt that he's going to come out here and take care of business and run through this guy, no problem. But I really do believe that the line is as juiced as it is as a result of that Giga Chikadze fight. You know, I was very wrong about that Giga Chikadze fight. I thought that after the Max Holloway fight, I was thinking, like, I think my exact words were like, you mean to tell me a one-dimensional boxer is going to beat Giga Chikadze in a fight? And the guy was not a one-dimensional boxer on the night, mixing in takedowns, throwing elbows, even kicking with a guy like Giga. But even despite all the success he had, you go back to the numbers and he still ate over 100 significant strikes. You cannot afford to eat that many shots against a guy like Josh Emmett. Now, furthermore, there was that fight between Josh Emmett and Dan Ige, and it wasn't Emmett's best performance. We definitely got to get that out the way. It was kind of a sketchy performance on Josh Emmett's part. Now, we also got to mention Kattar also had a bit of a sketchy fight with Dan Ige too. So they both had sketchy fights with Dan Ige. Now, here's my thing. Here's one of the big questions that I need answered, and I think Saturday night will let me know. Because after the Burgos fight, a lot of y'all recall that Josh Emmett actually, I believe he tore his ACL. He was out for over a year, and the guy, you know, had to get surgeries, the whole bit. So he comes back in there against Dan Ige and doesn't quite look his best, still gets another knockdown, right? But still doesn't quite look his best. Was that a case where Josh Emmett just kind of needed to get his feet wet and need to feel what it's like to, you know, have the UFC canvas under him again and just kind of, you know, ease back into things? And now that he had that experience behind him, we're going to see the same Josh Emmett we saw against Shane Burgos, who I know Calvin Kattar knocked out Shane Burgos, but Shane Burgos kind of has a similar body type to Calvin Kattar, kind of a longer boxing-oriented guy for MMA. Or was that Emmett fight a sign of that Ige fight a sign of a decline? That I really do not know, because Emmett is getting up there in age. I believe my boy is 37 years old off the top of my head. Let me double check that. Yeah, he's 37 years old. He's going to turn 38 in March. But he's also a guy that hasn't taken a lot of damage. It's just about, does he still have the same explosion he once had after those knee surgeries? So a lot of questions here. That's why this is one of those great fights where they run it a few times and it's going to be a different outcome every time. Like I was talking about last week with the Jiri fight. And, you know, it's funny. I said there's no way Jiri submits Glover, and then he submits Glover. But the reason I wasn't so confident, I did pick Jiri to win the fight, but the reason I wasn't planting my flag is because I truly thought it was one of those fights that could literally go either way. And that's exactly how it played out. I mean, that fight had so many momentum swings. It was up and down. It was a true roller coaster of a fight. Honestly, one of the best fights I've ever seen. Man, I love everything about that Jiri versus Glover fight. And the Kattar versus Emmett fight, while I don't expect it to, you know, top Jiri versus Glover for fight of the year, I think there's going to be a lot of momentum swings. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And again, I see Kattar being that minute winner. It's just, is Emmett going to be able to steal rounds? Is Emmett going to get knockdowns? Is Emmett going to mix in that last minute takedown after a close round, steal the rounds that way, possibly be the first man to knock down the very, very tough and durable Calvin Kattar? So it's tough, man. I mean, look, if this is a 50-50 fight, if this is a pick'em, I do lean Kattar. Again, he's the minute winner here. Like, he's going to be ahead on the numbers. It's just Emmett has the great equalizer. Like, there's this dude fighting in PFL this weekend named Haush Manfio. Y'all should check out my interview I did with him. He's the PFL lightweight champion. And dude will just be losing rounds, and then he'll just knock you down at the end of a round. He'll just get that big takedown at the end of a round. He's so good at stealing rounds. Emmett has a similar quality, man. Like, Emmett can just be getting tagged up with that jab, can be eating low kicks, this and that. but he lands one big overhand right, one big left hook, one uppercut, a nice blast double. He can steal rounds towards his favor. So I think that honestly kind of makes it a dog or pass situation. I mean, let me check where the odds open, just out of curiosity. So they open -170 for Kattar, which I think is a lot more fair. I think -150 to -170 Kattar is about accurate. It's just -230 is where I draw the line, because it's like, is it -230 because Emmett is truly that bad, or Emmett is on some decline, or is it that line because Calvin surprised a lot of people in the Giga Chikadze fight? Not all of us expected him to go out there and look the way he did. Even if you pick Calvin Kattar, I don't think anyone thought that he was gonna take Giga to school bell to bell. Like, that was a phenomenal performance, and to bounce back after the whooping he took against Max Holloway is truly admirable. So you got to give Kattar a lot of respect. I mean, the guy's Boston strong. I think that name is very, very fitting, even though that's Charles Rosa's nickname. Still, I think you can give that name to Kattar. They call Kattar the Boston finisher, and I remember when Kattar first came into the UFC, people used to give him shit for calling himself the Boston finisher because a lot of his fights went to decision. But you got to understand, when you're fighting at the highest level, like, these guys are going to be really tough to finish, man. Like, same thing with Emmett. Like, I posted earlier on Twitter about how Emmett's knocked down every single guy he's fought at featherweight, and someone was like, oh yeah, but he's not finishing these guys. It's like, yeah, dude, when you're fighting the best guys in the world, not only are these guys in phenomenal shape, these guys got the heart, the will, the cardio. They're able to survive. They're durable, but that, don't let that take away, don't let that distract you from the fact that Emmett does pack a serious punch. So I think Emmett should not be counted out here. I think it's a dog or pass situation. Will I pick him out? Right? It's tough, man. It's one of those fights where it's like, I'm not trying to be Mr. Sit on the fence and then afterwards tweet about, oh, my lean was right. And, I could have done that shit with that Lucas Almeida fight too, but like, that's not how I roll, man. If I bet on it, then I'll be like, oh, this cash. But if I'm just picking someone outright and not betting on it, I'm not going to sit here and go crazy, So, I mean, I lean Kattar. Is just that you can't count out a guy like Josh Emmett, especially at these odds. You just can't. Look at what the odds are. Plus 200 for a guy like Emmett. I mean, I don't blame anyone for taking that shot at all. Here's the thing, though. I'm basing that off, if this is a 5-round fight, I expect those momentum swings. I expect both guys to have success. But both guys are very potent finishers, and either guy could get an early finish too. So Kattar comes out here and stops Emmett early. Well, then it's going to look stupid to call it a dog or pass situation. I acknowledge that completely. It's just, I have to look at it, before the fact, assuming that it goes 5 rounds, assuming that, we see this go the full 25-minute distance, and take it from there. It's tough to predict an early finish with guys at this level, at this caliber. Both guys are so hungry. Both guys are so skilled, so talented. They want to make a point. They want that shot against the winner of Volk versus Max. So I expect them to be there. It's just, who's going to accumulate the damage? And then on top of that, we talked about the hands. Are there going to be calf kicks? Is anybody going to be getting chopped down? Are there going to be takedowns mixed into the equation? So lots of questions. I lean Kattar. It's just, when I say I lean someone, -240 is not a price of a lean. -240 is like, I need like to be damn sure, and I'm not damn sure. So that to me makes it a dog or pass situation. Let me know what y'all think, man. Let me read some of your questions or comments. Nathan says he thinks Emmett gets picked off trying to close the distance. And Nathan, I mean, I can see that happening too. The thing though, man, is like, I can see that happening for like 4 minutes, but one big shot from Emmett can completely change the tide of that round, right? So I agree with you. I do think Kattar is going to be getting off on that jab. I do think Kattar is going to be picking him off at distance. It's just, you look at how much Kattar gets hit, Emmett's not a guy you want to get hit against. So what is going to happen when Emmett connects on Kattar? That's one of the big questions. And then back to the whole thing with that Ige fight. They both had sketchy fights with Ige, but the Emmett one kind of stood out because he looked absolutely phenomenal against Shane Burgos. He looked like a guy who could potentially fight for a title against Shane Burgos. Comes back after that ACL reconstruction, doesn't quite look the same, but that was his first fight back. Once again, I'm bringing up points I've already brought up. Did he kind of need to get his feet wet? Did he kind of need to be in there one time? We got that experience behind us. Now he's ready to perform at his optimal self again. So just so many questions, so much variance in a fight like this. Michael says Kattar has the later rounds, been in 3 5-round fights. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in the UFC, he has been in 5-round fights. Emmett actually went the 5-round distance outside the UFC, I believe back in 2014. Let me double check that. I mean, it's been a long ass time since then. It's been almost a fucking decade since then. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because Emmett does have 5-round experience. It was just outside the UFC. It was actually up at lightweight. It was in November 2014 against Brandon Rossetti, who was 7-0 at the time. Interesting. I'm curious what this dude's been up to. This dude that he went 5 rounds with is now 9-2. Actually won his last 2 fights, but never fought again after 2018. I guess the guy retired. Would have been interesting to see what would have happened there. Oh, Nick, great comment. Nick said, Texas judges are back. I know, right, man? I know. So, what are they going to favor more? If this fight goes the 5-round distance, and if there is not, a finish or a knockdown, are they going to favor, the volume of Kattar? And when I say the volume, I don't want that to kind of seem like I'm taking away from the fact that Kattar also has that one-hitter quitter. And it's not just the hands. It's also the elbows. It's also the kicks. It's also the spins for a guy like Kattar. So there's just so much going on in a fight like this. Big Bird PH says that jab going to give Emmett a tour of the octagon. I mean, it could. I mean, look, if we're going jab for jab, if you put both these guys in front of a world-class boxing coach, the boxing coach is going to probably agree that Kattar has the cleaner hands. No doubt about it. It's just, these are 4-ounce gloves. This is not, 12-ounce gloves, 16-ounce gloves where you can shell up. And, here it's just the littlest of openings to catch that temple, that chin, any sweet spot it takes to knock someone unconscious with these 4-ounce gloves. And with Emmett having an 100% knockdown rate at featherweight, knocking down all 7 guys he's fought, you just cannot write off that possibility, even though we've never seen a guy like Kattar get knocked out. Kattar is so goddamn durable. Kattar is so damn tough that it's hard to imagine just because we've never seen it before. But just because we've never seen it before doesn't mean it can't happen. So, again, so much variance in a fight like this. And, like I already prefaced, it's kind of annoying not having a strong take. It's kind of annoying acting like I'm sitting on the fence, but I'm not going to act like some genius after the fact. But going into it, I do view this as a dog or pass situation. How do you pronounce it? Kaya Ricks. He says, could this look like Font versus Cheeto where Emmett steals rounds with damage? Now that's a good question, man. I do think even though Font and Kattar have somewhat similar styles, very boxing oriented for MMA, I think that Kattar is a little bit tougher. Not that Font's not tough. Font's tough as fuck. It's just, we've seen Font get dropped in other fights. We've seen Font, even pull guard in fights before. Like in that Holloway versus Kattar fight, when Kattar was wobbling all over the place, he was still signaling Max to bring it on. I just think that even though they're boys, even though they got similar styles, I view Kattar's toughness and durability on a different level than Font. However, your point is valid as hell, because it's like that absolutely could happen. Like you can be tough as hell and still eat, a shot to the chin or the temple against Josh Emmett with those 4-ounce gloves and go down regardless of how tough you are. So I do think you have a point. The only place I want to make that distinction, that differentiation, or that's not even a real word. The place I want to, make those 2 fights different is that I don't think Kattar's going to start to, wilt or start to accept defeat per se, right? I think Kattar's going to, as long as Kattar's conscious, as long as Kattar's not too badly compromised, I think he's going to be trying for the whole 5 rounds, or until he gets Emmett out of there, or until he's knocked out himself. So I think that's one difference between them. Let's see. Michael says, once Boston loses tonight, Kattar will need to win to keep Boston strong. Oh, so you're picking San Francisco, you're picking Golden State? I mean, they're up 3-2. It's just funny how, like, you know, just to talk about basketball for one quick sec, it's funny how, like, at first everyone was like, oh, Boston's going to kill them. And then it's Golden State, San Francisco. They had this amazing performance. Now everyone's like, oh, they're going to win. Then Boston bounces back. It's been a lot of back and forth. Now that it's 3-2, everybody's on Golden State. So we don't know. We really don't know. Boston are going to fight with everything they got tonight. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. And shout out to the Atlanta Braves on a 14-game win streak. I was about to say 14-fight win streak. We might as well call it that. Mets fans are in absolute shambles right now. You love to see it. And the world champions will be back here soon. All right, let's see what else y'all are saying, and then I'm going to get to the next fight. So Boom says, after that Kattar performance versus Giga, I favor him greatly. And Boom, I think that that's kind of like what the odds are saying as well, man. I mean, I think that performance was such a great effort by Calvin Kattar that now he's a minus 250 favorite against Josh Emmett. The thing is that Josh Emmett presents a different puzzle than Giga Chikadze. Giga Chikadze is a long, credentialed striker, whereas Josh Emmett is a short, stocky, one-hitter quitter guy with a wrestling background. Brandon said, you talk about the Dawkins fight yet? Nah, Brandon, we just talked about the main event so far. You know, we start with the main event now with how these cards have been. But if you want to go back to the beginning, you can hear the rest of the talk that we had about this main event. We're about to wrap it up and get to the co-main event. But yeah, guys, look, I lean, like I said, if it's a coin flip fight, I lean Kattar. It's just minus 250 odds are not indicative of a coin flip fight. So I see this at the betting window being a dog or pass situation. Let's see how it plays out. I'm very, very excited. If I think of anything else to add, I will do so. But for now, I think we covered this fight pretty thoroughly. Co-main event of the evening in the lightweight division. Brandon said Jeremy Stevens looked like a dried up skeleton on the scale. Hey man, it ain't easy to make weight when you're almost 40 years old. Dude's had a long ass career. And speaking of PFL, y'all make sure you check out my channel. I've been talking to a lot of these guys in PFL. They're in Atlanta for the next 3 weeks. So, you know, shout out to PFL. They hooked me up. You know, I'm going to be going to all 3 events, talking to the fighters, doing the whole bit. And big shout out to PFL because I didn't have to go there, you know, and like huddle around, like, you know, and beg to ask a question. Like they let me like do it in my studio on my time. So like PFL, much love, much respect. Truly appreciate that. And we're going to have some really good interviews coming. But for now, you can go check out. I had a full sit down with Raush Manfio, the lightweight champion. Got to talk to Jeremy Stevens, Emiliano Sordi, Natan Schulte, Clay Collard. Who the fuck doesn't love Clay Collard, right? And a few others. So make sure y'all check that out on my channel. Hit the subscribe button. And then next week, I'm working on it, guys. I'd love to have Anthony Pettis on Dan's Tuesday Night Contender because, you know, I brought it back. Season 2. Last Tuesday or a couple days ago, I had Raush Manfio, and I'm looking to get Anthony Pettis on next week. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, co-main event of the evening, Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He's 36-16, taking on Joe Lauzon, who's 28-15. Currently, they got it. Donald Cowboy Cerrone minus 170. The comeback on Joe Lauzon is plus 140. So I want to pull up Cerrone's accomplishments just because the guy is a true legend of the sport. Like when you talk about a guy like Cerrone, listen to this shit, guys. This guy, he's got the most wins in UFC history with 23, tied with Jim Miller and Andrei Arlovsky. He's got the second most finishes in UFC history at 16. He's tied for the most bonuses in UFC history at 18 with Charles do Bronx Oliveira, who he beat, by the way, back in the day. He's got the third most bouts in UFC history with 37, second most wins in UFC lightweight history with 17, third most finishes in UFC lightweight history with 10, and to cap it all off, most knockdowns in UFC history with 20. So, I mean, Cowboy Cerrone is a guy that will always have my respect, is a true legend of the sport, is a guy that I grew up watching. I mean, I remember watching this guy in the WEC when I was in fucking high school. You understand what I'm saying? But to put that in perspective, guys, that was 2008. Okay, that was over 10 years ago. Now, let's not get it twisted. Joe Lauzon's no spring chicken either. I've been watching that dude since I was in high school too. It's just that the way that their careers have been panning out. Now, they've both taken a lot of damage, but Lauzon's kind of taken the proper amount of time off. Cerrone's the opposite of unbeaten. He hasn't won a fight his last 6 in a row, and like, dude, we're talking a bunch of first round knockout losses. Like, I just don't see the same Cerrone we once knew and loved. And it's sad to see when your favorite fighters go down that path. And that's just the fight game, man. Like, at some point, when you fight like Cerrone fights, when you fight like a man, when you fight with your balls, and you go out there every single time, stand and bang with everybody, and even when he takes fights to the ground, I mean, the guy's got 17 submissions on his record, right? And oftentimes he would drop guys and then sub them. I mean, Cerrone's a true legend. It's just that my boy, Cowboy Cerrone, he's 39 years old, guys. 39 years old. Turns 40 in March. It's sad because I remember when Cowboy used to be the guy that fought like, 5 to 6 to 7 times a year. I remember when Cowboy would be racking up those bonuses every single fight. I believe one of the records that I mentioned, I think he's got the most head kick knockouts in UFC history too. I remember even more recently, even though it was still a lot of fights ago, when he handled that kid Alex Hernandez, very satisfying knockout. And then you can date back to the days when he destroyed Dennis Seaver, all the way back to the WEC. You should check out his 1-round fight with James Krause. Unbelievable fight in the WEC. I mean, Cerrone is just such a legend. But here's the thing, guys. Cerrone has always been a guy that's known for having those slow starts. But, if he can get past that first round, you start to gas out on a guy like Cerrone. Then he starts to get into his rhythm. Then he starts to get into his flow. Then you start to see some beautiful combinations displayed, kind of like he showed in that Rick Story fight. I mean, that was like a video game combo. And then with Lauzon, it's actually quite the opposite. Lauzon is a very, very strong first-round finisher, man. I mean, Lauzon's a guy that, like, if you're not quite woken up when that bell rings, he's going to come out there and he's going to get you out of there right away. I mean, just to put it in perspective, we talked about Cerrone's accomplishments. Lauzon's tied with Nate Diaz for the second most post-fight bonuses in UFC history with 15. He's got the most submission of the night honors in UFC history with 6, and he's got the second most finishes in UFC lightweight history with 13, right behind Cerrone. So these guys are literally the 2 most potent finishers in the history of the lightweight division. Now, I know Charles do Bronx Oliveira, his numbers are getting up there, and obviously he's in a much better place. He's the champ. But just saying, for historical purposes, Cerrone and Lauzon are the 2. They got the most finishes in lightweight history, man. It's pretty fucking awesome to see them matched up. And you know how I mentioned that Cowboy's got 17 submission wins? Guess who also has 17 submission wins? Lauzon. And Donald Cerrone has 10 knockout wins. Joe Lauzon has 9 knockout wins. So, I mean, these guys is such a even match. Now, here's the thing. Had this been a couple of years ago in Cerrone's prime, I definitely think he would have weathered the storm and just put it on Lauzon, who historically goes so hard, goes so balls to the wall in that early going that he doesn't have much left. And it's not that Lauzon's not out here running his miles. I mean, he's been in the UFC since when? Since when has Lauzon been in the UFC? Since he knocked out Jens Pulver in 2006. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Like, we're approaching nearly 2 decades. Nearly. We're getting there. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that in Cerrone's prime, he is able to weather that storm. He is able to take Lauzon to those deep waters and just put it on him. But those shaky early starts by Cerrone in his current state, in his current form, I just can't get past that. I also can't get past laying nearly minus 170 on a guy who's on a 6-fight losing streak. Yeah, the Price fight was a draw. The Price fight was a draw because Price lost a point, but Price won more rounds than Cerrone. Price beat Cerrone. Let's not. The record might say one thing, but between the 2 of them, they know who won that fight, and we know who won that fight. So let's not bullshit. I think Lauzon's going to finish him in the first round. I think this is another dogger pass situation. I think Lauzon comes out here, blitzes Cerrone, and gets him out of there and retires him. And it's going to be sad. It's going to be an emotional moment when Cerrone puts those gloves down in the center of the octagon, has that speech, and, all that jazz. Now, let me just say one more thing. There could be a live betting opportunity if, by some stretch of the imagination, Cerrone's not out of there, Lauzon blows his load, and then we see rounds 2 and 3. maybe there's a live betting angle for Cerrone there, possibly, but I'm leaning with that Lauzon first round finish, man. And Booms brought up a great point. He said, I still remember Lauzon's first round rear naked choke on Melvin Guillard. He was a beast back then. That was actually the first UFC event I ever attended. And it was, interestingly enough, it was also in Texas, not in Austin. It was in Houston. It was UFC 136. It was the night that Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard had the trilogy. And man, Melvin Guillard, dude, he was walking out as if the fight had already been won before the fight even started, walking out cocky. He was on a big win streak. He was knocking everybody out left and right. Lauzon goes out there, drops him, takes his back, and chokes him out. And then let's not forget about Cerrone's fight with Melvin Guillard. Cerrone gets rocked early. Then Cerrone lands a nasty head kick and followed by a straight punch and knocks him out. So, man, good memory, man. It brings back I want to say tears of joy, thinking about fights like that, man. Like those were the days. But again, it's sad. This would have never happened a few years back, but it's going to happen, I think, Saturday night. And my boy says Rome was the greatest empire ever. Yeah, and even that fell, right? So I'm going Joe Lauzon via first round finish. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I don't know if it's going to be a submission. I'm just going to go first round finish. But again, if by some stretch of the imagination Cerrone can weather the storm and he's not too badly compromised, and you start to see Lauzon huffing and puffing on that stool between rounds, there might be an angle for a live bet on Cerrone. But before the fact, I'm not laying no minus 170 on this current form of Cerrone. And I'm going Lauzon first round finish. Brandon says, you guys seen the old video of Joe Lauzon whooping his brother's ass in the front yard? It sounds familiar. Like, do you remember, since you brought that up, so his brother Dan Lauzon, there oftentimes there's the good brother and the shitty brother, and no disrespect, that's just how it kind of goes. Not always. I mean, the Diaz brothers in their primes were both good. Pettis brothers both won belts, but then there's like the Miller brothers. Jim Miller was Jim Miller is the fucking man. Dan Miller was just kind of average, right? So in the Lauzon case, Joe was the good brother. Dan was the, and Dan Lauzon at one point even talked shit about Joe. Like, this was like 10 fucking years ago. Like, on some website, they had a whole falling out. Very curious how Thanksgiving was after that. But yeah, I'm glad just keep bringing up these memories, man, because like we can go back. It's awesome to hear about, the times when we first started watching MMA, the times when we could consider them the glory years or this or that. So it's pretty awesome that you brought that up. All right. Featured bout in the welterweight division. We got Tim the Dirty Bird Means. He's 32-12, taking on Kevin Holland, who is 22-7. And currently they got it. Holy shit. Kevin Holland minus 300. The comeback on Tim Means is plus 250. Now I'm curious where this fight opened. It opened. Oh, okay. It actually opened minus 310. Kevin Holland. And I mean, like, shout out to Holland. I've cashed on him a lot of times, but man, he makes me sweat every single time I fucking bet on him. When I bet on him against Darren Stewart, like, look, it's one thing to get taken down by Vettori and Brunson. We won't hold that against you, but when you're getting taken down by Darren Stewart 3 fucking times in that third round, oh my God, shit was getting sketchy. It was like, dude, a lot of people even thought that Stewart might have won the fight. I was happy they gave it to Holland because I had a bet on Holland, but God damn, man. And then that last fight with Alex Cowboy, I bet on him there as well. And first round, he made me sweat again. But then second round, it kind of took care of business. So, like, here in a fight like Tim against a guy like Tim Means, like, once again, I need guarantees if we're talking minus 300. Like, we got guarantees that Alex Cowboy is a bit of a stunt puller. Now, we also do have guarantees that Tim Means, true legend of the sport, someone that I got so much admiration for, also kind of getting up there in age. He was born in 1984. He's had so many damn fights. He's been there. He's done that. The durability, it's still there. It's just not quite what it once was. I mean, and we always talk about the sharp striking of Tim Means, but let's not sleep on his takedown ability. I mean, he's hit takedowns and like most of his last few fights. Hit one against Nick Dolby, hit one against Staropoli, even hit one in that loss against D-Rod, hit one against Nico Price, hit 2 against Ricky Rainey. So I'm just saying, like, just because we know Tim Means as this, very good boxing for MMA type guy. He can also mix in takedowns, and I haven't seen that takedown defense of Holland get patched up too much. I know he's allegedly been working on it, and maybe it's improved a bit, but to actually sit here and act like, he's going to be stuffing every takedown now, it's just false. I mean, you just look at the numbers. The Alex Cowboy fight, Alex took him down twice. Kyle Dawkins fight, Kyle took him down once. Marvin Vettori took him down 11 times, y'all. Derek Brunson took him down 6 times. Jacare Souza took him down twice. Darren Stewart took him down 3 times. So Kevin Holland's there to be taken down. It's just, this is one of those fights where it's like Tim Means could be lighting him up. Tim Means could be mixing in takedowns, but Kevin Holland is a super talented guy. Kevin Holland's a super long guy. He's 6'3" with an 81-inch reach. Like, I know Tim Means is tall too, but like, Holland's taller, Holland's longer, and Holland, now his stance is orthodox, but his style is unorthodox. The way he knocked out Jacare off his back, like, he'll do some shit you just don't expect. So I kind of see it being that fight where, Tim Means is having some early success, and Holland, lands a nasty straight right, knocks him out. Holland secures a guillotine choke. Holland does something along the way, some kind of opportunistic finish. It's just, again, when we're talking minus 300, like, I don't want no comeback finish. I want my guy to dominate the fight, like, bell to bell. So that's why I kind of don't want to lay minus 300 on Holland. But, my pick is Holland, and all due respect to Tim Means. What's there bad to say about Tim Means? The guy been paying his dues for years, has always done things the right way. Like, fucking love Tim Means, and he's super exciting to watch. So you'll never catch me saying anything bad about Tim Means. It's just more so, another thing I want to say, though, Holland's last fight at 170, he definitely got the job done for sure. I didn't think he looked his best, though, and I think that was due to the weight cut. When he was fighting at 85s, dude was like walking in at like 183 pounds, right? Like, was cutting literally 0 weight. So now he's actually cutting weight, which on one hand you can view it as, hey, now he's acting like a professional. But on the other hand, you got to get acclimated to the weight class. 15 pounds is a big drop. So hopefully this is that fight where, he got that first experience under his belt. And I say first experience, I mean first experience in the UFC, because actually outside the UFC, he fought at 170. Now, he beat Jeff Neal outside the UFC. The Jeff Neal fight was actually at 185, but prior to the Jeff Neal fight, he had fought at 170 on the regional scene. He actually lost to Curtis Melender, but we ain't going to talk about that, right? And shout out to my boy Nitran, who was the only man in MMA history to knock out Curtis Melender, and he's fighting Impa next, so y'all keep a lookout. We get a win there. I think he's back in the big show. So Kevin Holland, I think it's going to be an opportunistic finish somewhere along the way. JSJ23 said, Kevin Holland, potential title contender at 170. Let's pull up the rankings and see. Let's pull up the rankings and see what we're working with here. So, is Kevin Holland a potential title challenger at 170? Well, number 15 is Shavkat Rakhmonov. I don't see that one going Kevin's way. Number 14, Michelle Pereira. That's a tough fight. 13, Li Jingliang. I could see Kevin getting that one. 12, Jeff Neal, already beat him. 11, Michael Chiesa. Okay, I definitely got Kevin over Michael Chiesa. I definitely got him over Neil Magny, and I even got him over Wonder Boy. I got him over Masvidal. It's just when you're talking about, a guy like Sean Brady, who might not be the most exciting guy, but is just super good at neutralizing people. When you're talking about the Vicente Luques, who, man, Vicente Luque, you saw how he can chop down, long guys like Randy Brown. Bilal Muhammad, such a disciplined guy with his approach. Gilbert Durinho, boy, has he come a long way. Hamzat Chimaev, Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. I don't know, brother. I don't know. Like, I think, you said it right. He said they'd have to match up Kevin very carefully if they want him in the top 5. Exactly. So I'm thinking if we want to get Kevin a title shot, he's got to get past Tim Means first. Then we do Li Jingliang. Then we do Chiesa. Then we do Magny. Then we do Stephen Wonderboy. Then we do Masvidal if Masvidal would take the floor. If Masvidal would take the fight. If we do those fights, then maybe he could be a potential title challenger. It's just when you're talking about the Bradys, the Bilals, the Gilbert Durinhos, the Hamzas, the Leons, the Colbys, the Kamarus, I don't see that going Kevin's way. And I love Kevin. Kevin's so exciting to watch. I love his personality. I love his fighting style. Is just that weakness in his wrestling, although he's been trying to address it. When you're talking about these guys like Kamaru and Colby, these guys have been wrestling for their life. These guys are lifetime wrestlers, man. And, 1 or 2 years, you can make incremental improvements, no doubt about it. But to be on the level of these collegiate wrestlers is just, you'd have to hope that these guys fought Kevin a certain way. You'd have to hope that these guys want to stand and bang with Kevin. And even in those kind of fights, I'm not convinced Kevin wins. Those guys are good everywhere the fight goes, even though they're just considered wrestlers. Like, make no mistake about it. I mean, Kamaru Usman's been knocking people out too. Colby Covington might not have that one-hitter quitter, but he's put some volume and some numbers on some guys standing as well. Bilal Muhammad, like, he might not be known for being a finisher, but just ask Vicente Luque what that body kick felt like. And trust me, he'll let you know that Bilal's no slouch standing either. So, yeah. But back to this fight, man. Again, like, it's one of those things where I actually do think that Tim Means, he's got the more output. He's got the better defense. I actually kind of think that skill for skill, he might be better. It's just that Kevin Holland has that way of getting those opportunistic finishes, creating chaos, doing stuff that you watch tape and you just can't cap things that he does. Like that finish over Jacare. You can watch every single fight of Jacare's career. You can watch every single fight of Kevin Holland's career. And none of us, myself included, are going to come up with the conclusion that, you know what? Kevin Holland's going to be off his back and he's going to knock out Jacare with punches off his back. Like, you're just not going to come up with that conclusion. So Kevin Holland's a high variance type fighter. He does shit you don't see other guys do, and that's why we love him, in addition to his great personality. So I see Kevin Holland being opportunistic, finding a way to make it happen. I just don't know how it's going to be, and I don't know how the fight is going to take place up until that point comes, because Tim Means is no slouch at all. Tim Means is well-rounded. Tim Means is experienced. So give me Kevin Holland somewhere along the way. Just not quite convinced he covers that minus 300. Now, also on the main card, we got a matchup between Joaquin Buckley, he's 14-4, taking Albert Duraev, who is 15-3. Currently, they got a Albert Duraev minus 240. The comeback on Joaquin Buckley is plus 200. Also curious where this fight opened. I'll let y'all know in a second. Okay, so it opened minus 160 for Duraev. So Vegas is thinking it's a little bit closer than what the odds currently are. Another tough one, man. Another really tough one, because you see odds like this on a guy like Buckley. I mean, Buckley, at least win, lose, or draw, he's going to go out on a shield. Win, lose, or draw, this guy's going to try his best. He's going to swing big bombs. And you've been seeing new elements added to his game. I mean, he hit 5 takedowns his last fight. And that wasn't the only fight that he's hit takedowns in. Let me pull up his numbers real quick. Hit 5 takedowns against Razak. Hit 1 takedown against Ahoyo. Hit 1 takedown against Impa Kasanganai before landing the knockout of the year. And speaking of Impa, like I just mentioned, my boy Jared Gooden's fighting Impa next. So after Jared gets this win, and all due respect to Impa, very, very nice guy. I actually got a lot of respect for Impa. I've even seen him fight live before in Atlanta. I just think, for not only am I biased towards Jared, but I think Jared's a different beast. And I think he's got something for Impa, but all respect to Impa. So anyways, the point I was trying to make is that Buckley, we know him as this kind of brawling type guy, but he can also mix in takedowns too. And then with Albert Duraev, man, I mean, it's not often I pick against Russians, man. Now, I did pick against a Russian last week, the Jack Della Maddalena fight versus Ramazan Amib. I took Della in that spot, and, I was right about that. But this is a little bit different because I kind of saw a bit of a decline from Amib, whereas Duraev, I mean, he's my age. He's actually a little bit older. He's 33. I'm 32. I mean, I think that he's still a hungry guy. I think he's a well-rounded guy. I think he's got big power. I think his grappling chops are on point. The only issue with a guy like Albert Duraev is actually a similar issue that Buckley has. There might be a little bit, the chin might be a little bit suspect. My boy Nathan said, what organization for Jared versus Impa? It's XMMA. The same one that Jared just knocked out Curtis Melendra in XMMA. And I think it's in Myrtle Beach, I believe. But anyways, back to this. So Duraev and Buckley both very offensively potent, but defensively is where you kind of draw the line. And then there have been some gassing issues too. And again, not because these guys aren't running their miles. You see the physique of both these guys. You know these guys are in great shape. It's just these guys put on the kind of shows the fans want to see. These guys go balls to the wall. And as a result, you're going to get tired fighting like that. Not to mention in Buckley's last fight. So he landed 5 takedowns. He attempted 8 takedowns. When you attempt 8 takedowns, man, like you're going to get tired unless like we're talking like a Bryce Mitchell, unless we're talking like a Bilal Muhammad, like you're going to get fucking tired, you know, doing shit like that. And my buddy said, surprised Eagle FC didn't keep Impa signed. You know, it's not that they necessarily didn't keep him signed. I think they kind of just do like those one fight deals. So I could see like Impa taking this fight and then maybe having another fight in Eagle FC. Like, I don't think they signed them to like long-term contracts unless it's like we're talking about like the bigger names. So it's not like he got released or something. I think he probably just had a 1 or 2 fight contract with them and kind of, you know, played it out. And, you know, he's just, this is the regional scene, man. You know, that when you're not in the UFC, you got to take every opportunity you can get. Unless we're talking like PFL, unless we're talking like even Bellator is. When was the last time Bellator had a show? Can y'all tell me? Because it's been a long ass fucking time, hasn't it? But PFL's been on their shit, man. PFL, hey, shout out PFL, man. I like what they're doing. But back to this, the reason that you saw Buckley gas so badly in that 3rd round was because when you're attempting 8 takedowns, and that's not necessarily your style. Well, props to you for hitting 5 of those. Like that's big. It's just attempting takedowns. I can say this as a grappler myself. Like, again, I'm no fighter, I'm no black belt, but yeah, I do have a little bit of experience grappling. I am a purple belt now. Attempting takedowns takes a lot of fucking energy, man. You're gonna get very, very tired attempting that many takedowns. Duraev has had similar issues. Duraev's also been knocked out 3 times before, but Buckley's also been knocked out 3 times. So the chins on both sides are in question. It's not that the gas tanks are in question. It's more so that both guys are going to go for it. Both guys are going to fight for your money. So you got to love that. As a result, that is going to tax your cardio a bit. So who's the more skilled guy? That's the big question. And sometimes that doesn't even matter because I think the more skilled guy is Albert Duraev, but you know, Joaquin Buckley hits him properly on the chin and it doesn't matter who the more skilled guy is. So, and I like Buckley a lot, man. He's so exciting to watch. I was completely wrong about him. You know, when he first came into the UFC, I thought he was just some club fighter. It turns out he's a pretty skilled guy. He's super entertaining. And he's also like, isn't he like 5'8"? No, he's 5'10", actually. Yeah. He's kind of a smaller guy for the weight class. People told him he should fight at 170, but you know, he's built, he's cocked. I'm a fan of Buckley. I met him in Florida. Super nice guy, rooting for him. I kind of lean Duraev here, man. As long as Duraev's not badly compromised, as long as Duraev's not knocked out, I don't think Buckley's going to be able to out-grapple him. For Buckley to out-grapple Duraev's got to be severely exhausted for that to happen. But both fresh. I think Duraev's the better guy. I think Duraev grinds this one out and possibly a knockout on either side. Don't write that off. But if it goes 3, I'm leaning with Duraev to get it done. But again, when we talk about leans, minus 240 is not a line of a lean. Minus 240 is a line where I need guarantees. And I don't have any guarantees here, but my pick is Albert Duraev. Now, next up in the lightweight division, I'm very excited to talk about this fight. We got Damir Ismagulov. He's 23-1, representing Kazakhstan, taking on Guram Kutateladze, who's 12-2, representing Georgia. Now, not my Georgia, you know, Georgia over there next to Russia. Currently, they got it. Damir Ismagulov minus 148. The comeback on Guram Kutateladze is plus 128. Also curious where this line opened. It opened minus 180 Damir, plus 155 for Guram. And my boy Boom said this card is mad underrated. I agree. Like, this is a fucking fantastic fight night card. I mean, you guys know I always shoot straight. Like, remember when they did that fucking card with Mike Jackson versus Dean Barry, and I purposely did not do a podcast because I'm not going to be caught dead talking about a fight like that, even though I'm talking about a fight like that right now. But you understand what I'm saying. Like, when you give us a fight night like this, like, this is a serious ass fight night. But anyways, currently they got it. I forgot if I read the odds or not, but they got it. Damir minus 148. The comeback on Guram's plus 128. Oh yeah, I did read the odds. And like I mentioned, Damir opened minus 180 in the spot. which I kind of think is a little bit more accurate. And let me explain why. Damir Ismagulov, man, I think that this guy is so goddamn talented. I think both these guys are actually pretty damn good. I mean, like, just to put it into just to like put some context into it, I think both these guys are arguably top 15 guys right now. I mean, look, when you look at the top 15 rankings in the lightweight division, number 9 is Tony Ferguson. Number 13 is Dan Hooker. You mean to tell me with a straight face that Damir Ismagulov and Guram Kutateladze can't go out there and beat Tony Ferguson? They can't go out there and beat Dan Hooker right now? Well, I disagree. I think they can. Therefore, I think they're both top 15 guys. Take it a step further. Guram beat Gamrot, who's number 12. So I think both these guys are top 15 guys right now. That's how good I think these guys are. I think Damir Ismagulov is actually kind of special, man. Like, it might not be the most exciting style to watch per se, but like, dude, when you look at these numbers, like, the guy barely gets touched. I mean, absorbs 1.9 strikes per minute. That's beautiful. 100% takedown defense. That's gorgeous. I mean, those are, and we got an hour sample size. It's not like we got, a couple 2-minute fights and we're, exaggerating some stats. We got a motherfucking hour sample size. The 90s says Damir's chin worries me. Listen, there's always a flaw with every fighter, but at the same time, the guy he fought, Rafael Alves, is a very explosive and strong guy who goes balls to the wall, who attacks his opponents. And I like the recoverability from Damir, man. I mean, when Damir got dropped in that first round, he was able to recover quickly. Then he gets on top of Rafael and arguably gets a 10-8 round. Just, you can't give it 10-8 because he got knocked down. But had there not been a knockdown, it would have been a 10-8 round. Like, I like how fast he recovers. I like his heart. But I do agree with you, if we had to make some kind of weakness per se. But like, when I think of someone being chinny, I'm thinking of someone getting dropped by jabs. I'm thinking of, someone getting, just wobbled all over the place. I think that, Damir, we have an hour sample size of Damir standing with these guys. So at some point he's going to get clipped. And I liked how he reacted to it, man. I thought he reacted really well. I think that Damir's got some very sharp hands. I think that jab is absolutely on point. I think the way he sets up his big punches, like his left hook, his big rights, like, man, like I like everything about this kid, Damir Ismagulov, man. And the numbers are just beautiful. Like, I light up when I talk about this kid. I mean, like, again, when you're landing near 4 strikes per minute and you're barely getting touched 2 times per minute, your defense is 65%, your takedown defense is 100%. Like, dude, like, those are beautiful fucking numbers, man. And hey, my boy Jong Lee said, hammer the like button. I appreciate that, man. Hey, listen to this guy. This is a smart guy. He said, hammer the like button. Y'all will do me a huge favor by hammering that like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Like, what are y'all waiting for, man? Like, we ain't this ain't, we ain't got no big websites pushing us. It's just me and you guys. So let's grow this fucking channel, man. Now let's talk about his opponent, Guram Kutateladze. Obviously a very tough guy. I mean, you know where he comes from. He comes from Georgia. He's super tough. And I love Guram's kicking game. I mean, super hard kicker, but it's not just that he's a hard kicker. It's the dexterity and the flexibility. You saw that axe kick he attempted against Gamrot. Like, that's not just something that you can just decide to spam one day. This is a dude who probably stretches for like an hour before and after practice and can do kinds of kicks that other people can't do. And then to take it a step further, when he got taken down by Gamrot, now oftentimes I don't like guys going for rubber guard, but but this dude, like, I was impressed by the flexibility. I was impressed by the fact that, like, Gamrot had a hard time passing the guard of Guram. So I think Guram's legit. I really do. It's just, I think he's legit top 15, whereas I think Damir might actually be like a future top 5 guy. Like, I think, now I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Hold on one second. I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again, but I think there might actually be something special about this guy, Damir. Rarely takes any damage, is always ahead of his opponents, does just enough to be ahead, and not just on the strike numbers, but he can mix in that occasional takedown if he wants. The takedown defense is 100%. Like, it's just that since he's not the most flashy guy and he doesn't speak a word of English, doesn't quite have the hype he deserves, right? But the skills are there, man. The skills are fucking there. I'm telling y'all. So honestly, I know a lot of people are saying it's a dog or pass situation. And on one hand, like, I feel where they're coming from in the sense that you get dog odds on a dude as skilled as Guram, then hey, like, he's going to fight for your money. Like, I respect that. I just think he's running into a guy who could potentially be a top 5 guy, could potentially fight for a title one day. We just got to get Damir to speak a couple words of English. Like, dude, your English doesn't even have to be perfect. Like, just the fact that, like, if you can just make this much effort, just say, you kill you, just say something like that, dude, and we'll all fucking go crazy, right? Like, you don't have to speak it fluently. Just say a couple things like who's in the top 5? Like, say, Tony Ferguson, you fuck you up. Just say something like that, dude. We'll go crazy. You don't got to say nothing else. Just leave it at that, man. Like, a little bit more effort on the promotional side of things, and I think Damir can be in there with those, top 10, top 5 guys. I think he's got the skill level right now. One thing we got to mention, though, the last fight had a terrible weight miss. I mean, like, he missed weight by like fucking 6-7 pounds. And the fight got canceled. Now, I heard he was really sick. I'm not making excuses. I'm just relaying what I heard. But I also looked on his Instagram, and the dude looks in absolutely phenomenal shape. It looks like that kind of, put a chip on his shoulder and kind of burnt a fire under his ass and let him know, like, dude, like, I need, like, all these wins have been coming so easily to him that who knows what happened. Maybe he got cocky, or maybe he was legitimately sick and it affected his weight cut. But either way, I don't think that's going to be an issue Saturday night or Saturday afternoon in Austin, Texas. But then again, we got to go back to the judges. Those Texas judges are something else. Are they going to favor the hard kicks of Guram, or are they going to favor the pinpoint hands of a guy like Damir? Well, oftentimes these are former boxing judges, so my inkling is they favor the hands, and I favor the hands too. I favor the experience. I favor the fight IQ. I'm going Damir here, and I'm considering a bet, honestly. I just a lot of action's been coming in on Guram, and again, I understand why. Guram's legit. Guram's going to fight for your money. Guram is going to go for it. Guram's no slouch at all. I just think he's running into a special fighter. Maybe I'm wrong in that assessment. I've been wrong before. We'll be wrong many times again. But let's see if I'm right about this one. So I'm going Damir Ismagulov via unanimous decision here. Let me see what y'all are saying. My boy Marcus Williams says he's enjoying the show. Hey, if y'all are in ATL, make sure y'all hit up my boy, the Nubian Bookstore. Got to represent. Shout out to you, Marcus. Keep up the great work. I appreciate your support. Love to support your store. Gonna have to come in there, man, hang out sometime. And it's important for kids these days to start reading again, right, Marcus? So much love, man. Damn, my boy Dominic was talking shit. He says, I'll address it. He said, not to take a shot, but when Dan moves a fighter and Clint is backing the other dude, you smash Dan's side. Listen, man, Clint is a guy that I really like. Clint's a guy that's always had my back. Clint's a guy that's always showed me a lot of support, and I'll do the same with him. It might be fun to have a little back and forth competitive talk. Oh, I'm on this side, you're on this side. Let's see who's right. But I mean, there's been times when we've been on opposite sides and he's been right and I've been wrong. So it's not that black and white. I am, obviously I'm rooting for myself, right? Obviously I hope I'm the one that's right here, but like, Clint's one of the nicest guys in the industry, and I'm really happy for him for, what he's created, what he's built, positive vibes always. So Clint's a guy that'll always have my respect, man. I like that guy a lot. But that being said, hopefully we're right about Damir on this one, right? Hopefully we cash this ticket. And if we do, I have no doubt Clint will bounce back after that for sure. Clint's a guy that's truly, passionate about this sport as well. All right, now, kicking off the main card, we got a matchup in the middleweight division between Julian Marquez. He's 9-2, taking on Gregory Hobocop Rodrigues, who's 11-4. Currently, they got it. Gregory Rodrigues minus 180. The comeback on Julian Marquez is plus 158. This is a funny fight because it's like Gregory Rodrigues is literally better than Julian Marquez everywhere. Cleaner hands, harder punches, black belt in jiu-jitsu, opportunistic takedowns. It's just Julian Marquez is one of those dudes that will literally get his ass whooped the whole fight and then will finish you. I mean, like the Phil Haas fight, he was getting taken to school and then he finished the guy. The Maki Patola fight was getting taken to school and then he found a way to finish the guy. Like RoboCop, like, you know, that last fight with RoboCop, even though I kind of thought he won at the time, like RoboCop, like, dude, like you were in there with a K1 striker. You're this black belt in jiu-jitsu. You had one job. Like, let's take this guy's back one time, choke him out, go home. And what does he do? He does the classic, I'm going to stand and bang with Paul Daly game plan. So it's like, RoboCop's better than this guy everywhere. Julian Marquez, it's like, how is he going to fuck this up? How is he going to be ahead on all the scorecards and find a way to get finished in that third round? And it's unbelievable. I mean, RoboCop, again, very hard hitter, very physically imposing. He can do it all, man. He can mix in takedowns. His jiu-jitsu's on point. Like I said, the punching power. I like everything about RoboCop minus the decision-making. And the chin from time to time is a little suspect. I mean, y'all know Jordan Williams knocked him out, right? And he's been dropped in other fights as well. Also, the gas tank. You know, he's a very heavily built, muscular guy with that physique that requires a lot of oxygen to those muscles, man. And yeah, so it's just like, to me, I think he's going to be owning Julian Marquez. I think he's going to be destroying Julian Marquez. It's just, is he going to be destroying Julian Marquez to the point where he finally gets his arm raised? Or is he going to be destroying Julian Marquez, gas out, get clipped, shoot a sloppy shot, get guillotined? So I don't know. I just cannot lay a price like this on RoboCop. Like, I think RoboCop's awesome, man. I think he's got all the skills to beat this guy. I think he's way better than this guy. It's just like, how are you going to fuck this one up for us, right? That's what I'm worried about. And then Julian Marquez is the guy who will look terrible the whole fight and then find a way to finish you. So that's my concern, to be honest. So my pick is RoboCop. Is just like, what? Like, I'm worried, bro. I'm worried about some kind of decision making. Alex said writing off RoboCop after a war split decision. I'm not writing off RoboCop. That's not. I'm pretty damn sure I just said RoboCop's better than this guy everywhere. What I'm not writing off, however, is RoboCop finding a way to fuck this up. That's what I'm not writing off. Like, we all know, all of us know that RoboCop's more skilled than this guy. That's not a question here. Like, in every area of the board too. Like, there's not one area of MMA that I don't think RoboCop's better than Julian Marquez in. It's just, is that shin going to get touched? Is he going to gas out after a great start? Is he going to fight a dumb game plan? Like, you know, at like minus 180 to minus 200, I need all my bases covered. And based off what I've seen decision-making wise, I can't trust RoboCop, but I will pick him to win because I think he's far more skilled than Julian Marquez. It's just, you know, how are you gonna blow this lead? You know, like, it's like the Falcons 28-3 type situation. You know, we don't like to talk about that, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Adrian Yanez, he's 15-3, taking on Tony Kelley, who is 8-2. Currently, they got Adrian Yanez minus 280. The comeback on Tony Kelley's plus 240. It was originally like minus 400, Adrian Yanez, which I thought was a little out there. Listen, I like Adrian Yanez a lot. Very clean hands for sorry, did I say 21-3? I meant 28-3. I definitely meant 28-3. I said, didn't I say 28-3, or am I not even aware of what I'm saying? I don't know. But what I meant was 28-3. Anyways, Adrian Yanez 15-3, Tony Kelley 8-2. Currently, they got it minus 280. Adrian Yanez plus 2. Just depends where you look. I see a plus 260 on Tony Kelley. So Adrian Yanez, for MMA standards, very clean, sharp hands. Don't sleep on his kicking game either. It's been getting better. His takedown defense is also improved because, like, back in the day, you look at his only losses, like the fight against like Miles Johns. Like Miles Johns literally put his head between Adrian Yanez's legs and prayed for dear life and somehow got a split. The Domingo Pilarte fight, like Domingo Pilarte was literally running away. The ref had to warn him for timidity. It's like some of those losses. The only true loss Yanez has had was actually, I believe, his second pro fight against Levi Moles. Levi Moles whooped him. And man, I'm kind of disappointed in Levi Moles. I think he retired recently, and this guy was like on the cusp of making it to the UFC, was beating all the guys he needed to beat on his regional scene, and just like had enough. I even had a bet on him against Justin Scoggins recently, and he pulled out the fight and retired. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, you're super talented. You're like on the cusp of that UFC shot, and you give up. Sad. But I wish him the best. I like how he spells his first name. Kind of like how I spell my last name, just pronounced different. He's the only guy to truly beat Adrian Yanez. So the thing here with Tony Kelley is, people are mad that Tony Kelley called a Brazilian dirty, which, like, I don't talk like that personally, and I don't advocate what he said. I think y'all should be more concerned about the fact that Tony Kelley's girlfriend's a Nazi sympathizer. I think that's a lot worse than what Tony Kelley said personally. I mean, I don't advocate either. I just think one's worse than the other. But I think that the line is as wide as it is because Tony Kelley is not a nice guy. But it's like, you don't need to be a nice guy to win an MMA fight. You understand what I'm saying? So I see this being a close competitive fight. I mean, like, I give the edge to Yanez, especially with it being in Texas. I think the Texas judges are going to like the Texas poster boy. But we can't sit here and act like, I mean, at least I think, that's going to be smooth sailing. I mean, like, that fight with, let's not even talk about the David Grant fight, which was a great fight, but that's the one everyone keeps bringing up. Let's talk about the Randy Costa fight. Like, was Randy Costa not just absolutely lighting up Adrian Yanez, making me sweat every single second of that bet I had on Adrian Yanez, like getting jabbed at will? But we know that Randy Costa's never won a fight that's gone past the first round. Now, not to bring up MMA math or anything, but I'm kind of going to. When Tony Kelley fought Randy Costa, there was like zero adversity to overcome. It was one-way traffic. He just broke the kid right off the bat. Whereas, like, when Adrian Yanez was fighting Randy Costa, we were like, holy shit, is Adrian about to get knocked out? Like, it was getting sketchy at times, man. And when Tony fought Randy, I mean, he just broke the kid. He just put it on him right away. But this is a different matchup. Randy Costa's not fighting here. This is Tony Kelley versus Adrian Yanez. It's a tough one because Tony Kelley's kind of like a longer, taller guy for the bantamweight division. Switches his stances nicely. He's got really good output as well. He's, according to the numbers, he's more accurate than Adrian Yanez. But Adrian Yanez loved the parrying game, loved the subtle head movement, loved the fact that he's been starting to mix in kicks into his game. It's just that he absorbs a lot of fucking strikes. I mean, he absorbs nearly 6 strikes per minute. And someone's going to capitalize on that. I'm not sure if it's Tony Kelley. I'm not sure if it's one of these other killers. I'm not sure if it's going to be Song Yadong. I mean, you get hit as much as Adrian Yanez does, and you're in there with a guy like Song Yadong, Poderecito, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a chance that like someone could hit the deck there, and these are the kind of tests you got to pass to get to the Song Yadong. So I do think he wins this fight. I just minus 280. Like, Tony Kelley's like not a pushover, man. Like, Tony Kelley ain't no hoe. Like, Tony Kelley's not just gonna eat one body shot and decide to go home or anything like that. Like, Tony Kelley's gonna be in there tooth and nail for all 3 rounds. And I get it. Oh, Tony Kelley said some mean things. It's like, yeah, that's talking emotionally. Like, again, I don't advocate the things he said, but that literally has zero impact on how I view this fight. Like, I could care less when it comes to betting on fights if he's a nice guy or not. And again, I think that his girlfriend being a Nazi sympathizer is 10 times worse than what Tony said. But I still wouldn't. I mean, I'm around Brazilians every fucking day, so I'd never say some shit like he said. I got all my love for my Brazilians, and not to mention, y'all know I'm always at the Brazilian churrascaria eating my steak, medium rare, that house special picanha, the garlic beef, the beef ribs, the fraldinha. Yeah, I know about my Brazilian steak, and also you got to get that Brazilian soda, the Guaraná. That's that shit right there. But anyways, back to this. I see this being an honest 3-round fight. I see these guys going toe to toe. Someone could go down, but I think that it's gonna be an honest 3-round knock. Let's see what these judges think. You got to go with the Texas poster boy in Texas. I think the judges are going to give it to him, but betting wise, there's an argument to be made for this being a dog or pass situation. Like, no bullshit, man. Plus 240 on a guy like Kelley, who, like, win, lose, or draw, is going to go out there and give it his all. And, like, we haven't seen too many durability concerns. The only concerns we've seen are, like, takedown defense, and Adrian Yanez ain't about to shoot. Adrian Yanez is going to stand and bang with him, give him the fight he wants. So who's the cleaner guy? I'd say offensively speaking that Yanez probably does have a bit of cleaner hands, but Yanez, and he is a bit more active too. Good point, Alex. But Yanez gets hit a shit ton, and Tony Kelley is going to be there to hit him a shit ton. So I could see this being fight of the night, to be honest with you. So I lean Yanez, but I mean, I don't fault y'all for taking that shot on Tony Kelley. And again, don't let him not being a nice guy influence how you pick this fight. You got to look at it objectively. I think that if this was in, the Apex, then I'd be a lot more inclined to take the shot on Tony Kelley. But it being in Texas, you never know. I mean, are these judges, training at Adrian's gym? Do they know him personally? The crowd pop every single time Yanez lands a shot. Crowd's going to be going crazy. Versus they might be booing Tony Kelley because he said some mean things, when he was cornering his girlfriend in the last fight. So, yeah, I'll pick Yanez by a close decision here. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Canada's Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's 7-1, taking on Natalia Silva, representing Brazil, who's 12-5. Currently, they got it. Jasmine Jasudavicius minus 245. The comeback on Natalia Cristina da Silva is plus 205. Interesting dynamic here. Michael said, is the moment going to be too big for Yanez? I don't think so, man. I think Yanez, I mean, how many fucking fights has Yanez had? Yanez is pretty damn experienced at this point. Yanez has had, this is going to be his 19th pro fight. And this is Kelley's 11th pro fight. I don't think the moment will be too big for Yanez. It's just more so that they're going to stand and bang. And in a stand and bang fight, there's a lot of variance, man. Like, they're both going to be there to be hit. Who's going to land the more effective shots? Who's going to get the judges in their favor? Who's going to get the crowd in their favor? There's a lot of factors to consider there in this kind of fight, where I'd be surprised if either guy shot a takedown. Watch them shoot a takedown right away, right? But back to this Jasudavicius Natalia Silva fight. I think on paper the dynamic is pretty. This one might actually be pretty black and white. I mean, I think Jasudavicius actually's got a lot of physical qualities to her, kind of a strong wrestler. I believe she's even, don't quote me on this, but I believe she's an Olympic medalist in Canada in wrestling, which, hey, respect. That's pretty fucking awesome. You went out there and competed for your country. Natalia Silva does not have the best takedown defense, but her specialty is those arm bars from guard. So both fighters are going to get to fight in their realm. Like, Jasudavicius is going to land those takedowns, and as a result, Natalia Silva is going to get the chance to attempt those arm bars from guard. If she cannot get that arm bar, she's losing this fight. She's getting grinded out. Let me just see what the opening odds were. Let's see what Vegas was thinking on this. Yeah, Vegas was thinking minus 260. Vegas was saying, nah, she ain't getting no arm bar on Jasudavicius. And honestly, I think Jasudavicius is kind of green right now, but I think she's got a lot of qualities that can take her far. I think she's very physical for the weight class, and she's very imposing, and she's got that wrestling background. I know she lost to Elise Reed, but Elise Reed is more of a striker, just a completely different matchup. Whereas Natalia Silva is, armbar from guard. So don't get armbarred and you win this fight, right? It's just, there are a lot of armbars from guard in women's MMA, but I think that, that top control of the wrestler, you get past those first couple armbar attempts, and you get some nice bicep control, start to wear her out a bit, then grind out the rounds. And I think a couple more fights under Jasmine's belt, and we could see her start to fight some of the more well-known names in the division. But for right now, I think this is the right kind of, next move for her to just kind of start to feel more comfortable in there, start to feel like the UFC is her home a bit, and so just get a little bit more experience, a little bit more cage time. So I'm going to give it to Jasmine Jasudavicius. I'm gonna say unanimous decision. Now, next up, this is going to be good. In the welterweight division, we got a match between Jeremiah Wells, he's 10-2, taking on Court McGee, who's 21-10. Currently, they got it. Court McGee minus 120. The comeback on Jeremiah Wells is plus 105. Another thing I wanted to bring up regarding this fight was the opening odds. So Vegas was saying minus 175 Jeremiah Wells. They were thinking that, nah, son, they were thinking Jeremiah Wells is too young, too youthful for this guy. And there's a chance that might be the case. Look, I know Court McGee's had some good performances recently, especially the last one against Ramiz Brahimaj. I don't think we can compare Ramiz Brahimaj to Jeremiah Wells. Look, I like Ramiz a lot. Actually, a very nice guy. Even played Call of Duty with him once. So, he's got my respect. He's a very nice guy. He's actually a very smart guy, too. But fighting-wise, it's, for the most part, first-round submission or bust. Whereas I think that Jeremiah Wells is a lot more athletic, a lot more explosive, has that one-hitter quitter power, but also is a black belt. Is it under Daniel Gracie or under Renzo Gracie? But he's a black belt under a Gracie, and it's from Philly, where these guys like Sean Brady are coming from. Now he doesn't train with Sean Brady; he's got his own people. But Jeremiah Wells, I like what I've seen, because on the regional scene, I wasn't sure he was going to cut it in the UFC, man. There was this one fight where he goes the full 5-round distance. He's literally staring at his opponent. But in the UFC, he's been going after these guys. And we can write off the Blood Diamond fight. I mean, Blood Diamond's like 3-2 in MMA. So, but the way he handled Warley Alves, that was impressive, dude. That Warley Alves might be a stunt puller, but usually the guys that make him pull stunts, are established guys. Like Brian Barberena's an established guy. Kamaru Usman is the champ. Who else has beat Warley Alves? James Krause, established veteran of the sport. The fact that, and usually those guys got to overcome adversity. Like Warley even took a round off of Kamaru, which is crazy, right? Jeremiah Wells showed this guy zero respect and just went after him from the second the bell rang to the second the fight was over. So that was beautiful to see, and even escaped the guillotine attempt. Warley is a guillotine specialist. I'm not going to overblow these last few Court McGee performances, man. I think this is a different matchup, and you can't forget retired fighters who I got respect for, but retired fighters like Diego Lima and Ben Saunders were out here finding a way to beat Court McGee. Court McGee's lost 5 of his last 8. I think that Jeremiah Wells is going to be too young for him, too fresh for him, too athletic, too fast, too strong. I think he's going to find a way to win this fight. And I like the fact that he's the underdog here. If he was slight chalk, then I don't know. But here we get underdog odds. Let's find out. I like Jeremiah Wells here as an underdog shot. And I think he comes out here and takes care of the guy we all respect. I mean, Court McGee, dude died and came back to life. Y'all know that, right? I mean, he's got a very inspiring story. He's been fighting for a long-ass time. What is there not to like about Court McGee? My boy is 37 years old, turns 38 later this year. I think he's just getting up there in age. Now, Wells, he ain't no spring chicken. He's also 35, but he's a young 35. He's a 35 that's not taking a lot of damage. He's a 35 that is trying to make a name for himself. Is hungry. He still wants to accomplish big feats in this sport. So Brandon said you love fading the old vets, Dan. Yeah, I do, man. I mean, it's a profitable strategy. I love profitable strategies. And look, and I'm not always going to be right. It doesn't have an 100% hit rate, but yeah, you're damn right. I like to fade guys that are 1 or 2 fights away from retirement. That's just, it is what it is, right? And I'm getting dog odds to do it. It's not like I'm out here laying some slight chalk on it. It's dog odds. So, someone said, is Hansen supposed to be some kind of Damian Maia? Whoever said Hansen was what? I don't understand where this is coming from. Are y'all having some conversation in the chat I'm unaware of? Because let's never mention Kay Hansen and Damian Maia in the same sentence ever again. But I'm probably entering y'all's conversation late. But anyways, I'm going to go with Jeremiah Wells there for the underdog. He said, so Wells official bet. Well, I can't say official because I haven't bet it yet, but that's on my list. I like Damir Ismagulov. I like Jeremiah Wells. Those are potential bets I'm trying to make. I just want to see what they look like on the scales and take it from there. I also like a couple things in PFL. Hausch is plus 170. Nathan Schulte is rematching Marcin Held. I know he lost the first one. I know he's a slight favorite, but I think he might have something for him this time. Just got off to a little bit of a slow start last time. I think he can correct that, and I think he can break a guy like hell. But we'll get to that later. But y'all know where to see my bets when I post them on my Bet MMA tips. I haven't made a bet since the Rockets fight. You know, that really bummed me out, left a sour taste in my mouth. Like, you dominate round 2 and then your knee blows out. And people can talk about checks all they want, but I call bullshit on that. When there's an injury due to a check, that's a shin breaking. Your knee blowing out is not because of a check. He had an injury in the camp. It was unfortunate. So that kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm not one to force bets. I have to truly be feeling it, and I feel like this week I'm feeling it again. So yeah, I do expect to make some bets, and you all know where to follow me on Twitter at Best Fight Picks, or my Bet MMA Tips is also Best Fight Picks. My picks are free, so yeah, if I post something, you'll know exactly where to find it. Now, next up in the featherweight division, Danny Chavez is 11-4, taking on Ricardo Ramos, who is 15-4. Currently, they got it. Ricardo Ramos minus 250. The comeback on Danny Chavez is plus 210. This is a good fight. Listen, Ricardo Ramos, is it Ricardo Ramos or is it Ricardo Ramos? But either way, my boy giving me props. That dude hasn't made a bet since Rockets, and he is out here breaking this down for us. What a lad. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Hey, listen, you know, you can still give analysis, you can still give your thoughts, but also, like I told you earlier, I'm not going to be the guy who doesn't put money on something and then goes and starts bragging about how I was right on some pick and this that. Like, if I'm gonna quote unquote brag, then money needs to be put down, you know. So yeah, y'all know how I operate by now for the most part. Some still don't. Some still hate on me, but it is what it is. I got y'all that got my back, and I truly appreciate y'all being here. So thank you very much. And smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys again. But anyways, what I like about this fight between Danny Chavez and Ricardo Ramos is I've been waiting for Ricardo Ramos to finally put it together, man. I mean, we've seen these flashes of brilliance. He's only 26 years old, and he's a guy that the UFC's had their eye on for a very long time. I mean, I remember back when he fought Manny Vasquez in 2016 in LFA, before LFA was called LFA, back when they were called Legacy, and Dana sat front row. He fought Manny Vasquez. He actually got choked out in the first round, but then they gave him another opportunity on Dana White looking for a fight. They put him in there with the guy that Sean O'Malley beat on Contender Series, Alfred Kashakian, and he showed out. Ricardo Ramos did the thing. So then after that, they gave him his UFC opportunity. And man, I mean, like, we've seen these little flashes of brilliance here and there. We've also seen some hit and miss performances. The talent's there. The talent is there. I mean, this guy will do some really unorthodox things. He's beat some good names. I mean, he beat Kyung Ho Kang. He gave Bill Algeo a tour of the octagon. Like, I like this kid a lot, man. And sometimes you'll see spinning back elbow knockouts. You'll see some funky stuff off his back. Like, his hands are starting to get a bit sharper. I'm saying when this kid finally puts it all together, I think, you know, in a couple of years, he could be a top 15 guy. And even the last fight he lost against Tukugov, although he lost that fight, I thought it was a step in the right direction. Like, because usually when he's losing fights, he's getting ran through. He did not get ran through there. He put up a tough fight, man. And Dominic brought up a good point. He started in his career like Charlie O. Exactly. The kid's figuring things out. But I think the talent is 100% there. Now, with this guy, Danny Chavez, I guess what we got to accept is that, look, he's 35 years old, so he's, you know, flat out in his prime. We're not going to be seeing any major leaps. Like, what you see is what you get with Danny Chavez. He's a finished product. And I'd say his best attribute are his calf kicks, man. Like, that first fight against TJ Brown, TJ Brown's a better wrestler than Danny Chavez. And boy, did he immobilize TJ Brown with those calf kicks. And Ricardo Ramos, being kind of a longer, taller guy for the weight class, you know, he's 5'9", which is a bit, you know, he's a longer, skinnier guy for featherweight. You got to be careful, man. He's got them chicken legs. And a guy like Danny Chavez comes from that MMA Masters camp. I mean, you know, like his teammate Miguel Baeza, also a very good calf kicker. Like, we know exactly what they want to do. And there's a chance that, you know, it only takes a couple calf kicks to immobilize someone. It only takes, you know, 3 or 4 of them. So Ricardo Ramos has got to be cognizant of that. However, I feel like if he is cognizant of that, if he can avoid that, I think that he's probably got Danny Chavez covered everywhere else. And I'm hoping that with a kid this young, 26 years old, that we finally do start to see, because we've seen the flashes throughout the years. Like, I want to see that complete performance. I want to see him go out there and shine. And this could be that time. According to the odds, this is that time. Let me check where it opened real quick. So it opened minus 310. So according to Vegas, this is that time. According to Vegas, this is his coming out party. So let's see. I mean, I got Ricardo Ramos here. He's my pick. It's just, I want to see this kid finally live up to the potential that I've been seeing for so many years and go out there and do something special out there and start to go on a win streak, eventually crack the rankings and do what I know he's capable of, but it's up to him. So I think he gets past Danny Chavez, and let's see how he performs. Next up in the strawweight division, we got a matchup between Gloria de Paula, she's 6-4, taking on Maria Oliveira, who is 12-5. Currently, they got it. Gloria de Paula minus 275. Holy shit. The comeback on Maria Oliveira Mota is plus 235. I mean, y'all, listen, I think that Gloria de Paula is a lot better than her 6-4 record indicates, and I think that she's actually got very nice variety on the feet. It's just more of a thing of her starting to feel comfortable inside the octagon, feeling like she belongs, kind of getting kind of like a handle on the nerves, because the Contender Series fight was beautiful, in my opinion. And we've seen little flashes here and there, just needs a little more seasoning, needs a little more experience. Whereas with Maria Oliveira, like that fight against Marina Rodriguez on Contender Series, look, I know it's Marina. I know Marina's going to fight for a title soon, but like it was not a good look to tap to strike standing, to wave a fight off and say no more. Like, I get it. Live to fight another day. It's not, she had no chance of winning that fight, but like, I can literally name 200 fighters that would have shown more heart in a spot like that. But then on the other side of things, she was in there with Baby Shark, with Ricci, who is a black belt, and she didn't get submitted. So give her a little credit there. I'm not comfortable laying no minus 275 on Gloria de Paula. I'm not at all, but I do think that this is a fight that she gets done. Let me just check where the odds opened. Okay, so Vegas was thinking slightly closer. Vegas was thinking minus 175. I think that's probably a bit more accurate. So yeah, I'm going to go Gloria de Paula via unanimous decision. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got Cody Stamann. He's 19-5, taking on Eddie Wineland, who is 24-15. Currently, they got it. Cody Stamann minus, holy shit, minus, just fucking depends where you look. I see minus 550. I see minus 714. The comeback on Eddie Wineland is plus 400. So shout out to Eddie Wineland, another guy I grew up watching, former WEC champion. If y'all have never seen Eddie Wineland's fight against Ken Stone, where he knocks him out with a slam, one of the most brutal knockouts I've ever seen. And man, Eddie Wineland, back in his day, man, I mean, you got to love the hands. You got to love the takedown defense. Does fight with his hands down and his chin up. That's plagued him in the past. Even the first big underdog I ever hit was actually Johnny Eduardo against Eddie Wineland. It was like plus 700 back in the day for that very reason, that Eddie fights with that chin up and them hands down. But man, Eddie's a legend. Eddie's got my respect. Again, former WEC champ. Guys, after this video, go watch that Ken Stone knockout on Fight Pass from the WEC. I'm telling y'all, like, he picks this guy up and slams him and knocks him unconscious. Absolutely vicious. Unfortunately, my boy Eddie Wineland is damaged goods, and you hate to see it, but that's the fight game. That's how these things go. About to be 38 next week or in 2 weeks or so, and it's taking too much damage. The thing with Cody Stamann is that, like, he's definitely not a finisher, especially at the UFC level, but he's very good at winning rounds, and he's good at doing just enough to get these wins, and that's something I've always admired about him. And he's good everywhere the fight goes. He's a very competent guy. It's just, I guess the big question is, when you're talking about a price like this, is it going to be a unanimous decision or is it going to be a finish? On normal circumstances, I'd say unanimous decision. However, now I'm seeing guys that wouldn't even be able to sniff Eddie Wineland's jockstrap finishing him. Like, Castaneda finished him in the first round. Like, no disrespect, Castaneda, he looked amazing against Miles Johns, talented guy himself, but like, I'm telling y'all, a couple of years ago, Eddie Wineland would have taught that kid a lesson. And the fact that Eddie Wineland's getting knocked out by guys like that now, it's just, it sucks when the guys you grew up watching, are washed up now. And that's where Eddie is now. So Cody Stamann's the pick. It's just a question of, is he going to finish him or not? I don't know. but Cody Stamann's the pick. It doesn't take much, courage or smarts to pick a minus 700 favorite. But yeah, I got Cody. Next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Phil Haas. He's 11-3, taking on Deron Wynn, who is 7-2. Currently, they got Phil Haas minus 270. The comeback on Deron Wynn is plus 230. Also curious where this one opened. It opened minus 240. Phil Haas plus 205 wins. So listen, Phil Haas has literally every single thing I want in a fighter except the chin. D1 wrestler, physical specimen, one hitter quitter power. Beat some legit guys too. I mean, y'all saw how he handled Imavov. Now, some people, there were some sketchy moments, but to grind out a guy like Imavov, who's a top 15 guy now, is no easy feat. Y'all saw what he did to Kyle Dawkins. To grind a guy to break a guy like that is no easy feat. I think Phil Haas is so damn legit. It's just, man, if this guy had a chin, I think he could be a top 10 guy. I think he could really be that guy. What does Phil Haas not have besides a chin? Again, D1 wrestler, one hitter quitter power, physical specimen. It literally has everything except a chin, and it's just so unfortunate. And then with Deron Wynn, oh my God, this guy Deron Wynn. What do they got him listed as? Let me check real quick. They got him listed at 5'6". Dude is not 5'6". Dude is 5'4" between you and me. The guy's 5'4", fighting at 185 pounds. He's a poor man's version of Daniel Cormier. And Michael said 5'6". Dude, he is not 5'6". He's not 5'6". I'm 5'8", and I was towering over this fucking guy. He ain't no 5'6". He's 5'8". Excuse me, he's 5'4". Maybe 5'4" with shoes on. You know what I'm saying, dude? But hey, props to you, man. I respect it though. I respect it. For me, listen, I'm not a fighter or anything like that. But now that I am competing in jiu-jitsu, and I'm the shorter guy in my weight classes, I'm 5'8", and I'm in there with guys that are 6'2", 6'3", at light heavyweight, which was what my last one was at. I respect it. It's balls and it's courage, all that stuff. I respect it, dude. But when you're going up against the best guys in the world, but here's the thing: in jiu-jitsu, there's no punches to the face. In jiu-jitsu, there's no knees to the face. In jiu-jitsu, there's no kicks to the face. You understand what I'm saying? So I can get away with a lot of things in jiu-jitsu, but in MMA, there are all those things, and it's not going to take much for Phil Haas to lift one little knee up and knock this guy on contact. Did y'all know that for Deron Wynn's debut fight, he fought Eric Spicely, but originally he was supposed to fight Bruno Blindado Silva. Bruno Blindado was going to knock this dude's head into the 5th row, and I even had my my baseball glove with me because I wanted to catch Deron Wynn's head, kind of like we catch the foul ball at the baseball game or the home run. You know what I'm saying? And it's too bad that fight never happened, but here's the thing. I guess Deron has a puncher's chance. I mean, I don't see him. I know Duran's a wrestler, but I don't see him taking down Haas for the sole fact that Haas is a D1 wrestler, man. Haas is not some easy guy to take down. Now, it might be tough to take down Wynn too because he's 5'4". He's got that low center of gravity. It's kind of hard to take down those short, stocky guys. I can attest to that. But unless Deron Wynn touches that chin of Phil Haas, he is losing this fight, and he's losing this fight in every aspect of this fight. Dude should be fighting at bantamweight or featherweight, but dude cannot make bantamweight or featherweight. He's got, he's too thick for that. So at least should be fighting at 70s, and even there he's way too short. He's too short for 55s. Let's call it how it is. But yeah, so Phil Haas, don't get knocked out and you win this fight literally everywhere it goes. So yeah, Phil Haas is my pick. And last but not least, kicking off the card, also in the middleweight division, we got the aforementioned Kyle Dawkins. He's 11-2, taking on Georgia's Roman Dolidze, who was 9-1. Y'all know JP Buys is fighting Cody Durden the week after. It's too bad they couldn't get JP Buys and Roman on the same card. Would have made some nice content. But currently they got it. Kyle Dawkins minus 260. The comeback on Roman Dolidze is plus 220. So another one where it's like I lean a certain way, but the odds aren't indicative of a lean. Minus 265 is not indicative of a lean. Minus 265 indicates domination. And when you look at Roman Dolidze, you look at the one fight he lost. Look, I definitely thought he lost it, but I thought it was kind of like a split decision type fight. If it's a split decision type fight, then there's value at these plus 225 odds. Like, I'm very curious to see the approach here. I do think that Dawkins' hands have been getting better. I also think that Dolidze probably has a bit more power than him. The issue with Dolidze is, no, he's a bit of a leg lock guy. My issue with leg lock guys is when they don't get that leg lock, they end up laying on their back. You end up laying on your back against a guy like Kyle Dawkins. He's most likely going to grind you out. Now, the reason that Dana White didn't sign Dawkins initially off Contender Series, his reasoning was Kyle Dawkins doesn't put the stamp on things. And I need someone to put the stamp on things if I'm laying minus 265, right? So, yeah, I might lean Dawkins to edge it out, but minus 265 are not edge it out type odds. I want domination for edging it out. The Man Cave MMA says he's got Dawkins via sub. He says Roman's IQ is Jiri level. Jiri's a world champ, bro. Jiri just tapped out a third-degree black belt, so I think comparing him to Jiri is a compliment, although I personally would not compare him to Jiri. It's just about like the leads there. Are we going to be, landing some hard shots on the feet and then drop back for, well, he said world champ barely. I'm pretty sure he's got that belt at his house. So, oh man, you got to stop. He's saying Glover wanted out. Dude, Glover was exhausted. Did you see that fight? The pace they were fighting at? These dudes were exhausted, man. And those long arms of Jiri get under your neck. You got that element of surprise. I'm not going to argue with you, man, because I think we're going to disagree on this one, buddy. But you cannot take anything away from two absolute studs and warriors and champions like Glover and Jiri, who just put on the best fight of the year. And Jiri is the champ, by the way. He said Glover wanted out in the last 30 seconds, man. Come on. I mean, Glover was exhausted. Glover had nothing left, and there was a locked-in Mata Leon rear naked choke under his neck. So, I mean, either tap or go to sleep. I guess he could have gone to sleep, but shit was locked in. It is what it is, brother. But Brandon said, this guy, I know. It's a man, I still appreciate you being here. Listen, I'm from the United States. Even though I'm first-generation American, I'm from the United States, and we're allowed to have a difference of opinion. As long as we're respectful. Even if we're not respectful, we're allowed to have difference of opinion. So I still appreciate you being here and contributing to the chat, brother. Even if I wholeheartedly disagree with you. But back to this. I need domination from minus 265. Like I need guarantees of a finish. I need guarantees of a 30-27. I don't have those guarantees. That makes it a dog or pass situation. I lean Dawkins. I think he's slightly ahead, but I think Dolidze can make it close, man. So with that being said, dog or pass. All right, let's talk about the fight to watch and fighter to watch. Before I do that, is anybody interested in some PFL picks? If not, I'll just get out of here after the fight to watch and fighter to watch. So fight to watch has got to be Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutateladze. Like I mentioned already, I consider both these guys top 15 guys right now. I mean, like I've been saying for a long time on this show, a lot of these people that are currently ranked are going to be ushered out the rankings. Like, you mean to tell me that Damir Ismagulov can't beat Tony Ferguson and Dan Hooker? You understand what I'm saying? Like, Neil Magny's ranked ahead of Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat is about to handle that, get him out the top 10, So a lot of people are about to be ushered out the rankings. And then this kid Guram comes out of nowhere, beats Gamrot in his debut. Like, it's going to be a serious ass fight. What do the judges like better? The pinpoint punches of Damir Ismagulov or the hard kicking game of Guram Kutateladze? I'm excited. And my fighter to watch is going to be Let's go Jeremiah Wells. I still have a lot of questions. I still feel like I don't quite know much about Jeremiah Wells, but what I have seen in the UFC, I've liked. Outside the UFC, I wasn't so sure, but in the UFC, I've liked it a lot. So this is a big test. I mean, Court McGee's a guy. Y'all know he's got a win over Robert Whitaker, right? Like back in the day, long ass time ago, but still on his resume. And if you're not quite ready for a guy on Court McGee's level, he'll handle you accordingly. So I want to see where Jeremiah Wells is at, and for that reason, he's my fighter to watch. So some of y'all said you want some PFL picks. All right, let's take a look at this PFL card. I'm going to it. So if any of y'all are going to be in attendance at the PFL event tomorrow or the one next week or the one the week after, make sure y'all stop by and say hello because I will be there. And I'm very much looking forward to it. All right, so main event, Clay Collard, Alex Martinez. You know, I bet Clay Collard that last fight against Jeremy Stephens, but it was like plus 110, I think, plus 105. I don't remember. Maybe even plus 120. Clay Collard's a guy I like to bet at dog money because he's going to go for it 100%, but he's also there to be hit. He's a very vulnerable guy. So, like, when we're talking minus 180, it's a bit much when the guy leaves as many openings as he does. He's willing to take risks. That's why we love him so much. Goes balls to the wall. It's just that, you know, minus 180, I need him to be a little bit. It's not that he's sloppy. It's just that the guy's got big balls and he goes for it, man. So on one hand, I like that a lot. Your guy's going to go for it. But this kid, Alex Martinez, he's young. He's hungry. He's trying to make a name for himself. Just beat an established UFC vet and Stevie Ray. You know, that's got to give him a lot of confidence. So I see it being a good fight. I do lean Clay Collard. I think he's farther ahead, but don't sleep on Alex Martinez. I think he's a young, hungry kid trying to make a name for himself. Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Bruce Soto. I see Carlos Jr. It's minus 1,000. I see Carlos Jr. taking this guy's back one time and choking him out. Haush Manfio versus Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Haush is plus 170. I like him in this spot. I think that Olivier Aubin-Mercier is going to get off to a good start. You know, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, very hard body kicks. His hands have been getting better over the years. He can mix in, you know, the occasional takedown or two. He's got a bit of a judo game from time to time. But Haush is one of those guys that can steal rounds. Haush is the guy that can be losing the entire round, land that big knockdown, land that big takedown, steal the rounds towards his favor. And he's got a great history as an underdog, especially against a guy like OAM who starts strong but fades late. I'm going to take the plus 170 on Haush. Jeremy Stephens versus Miles Price. Jeremy's minus 800, minus 800, like someone was saying. Listen, I get it. You don't want to lay that on a 40-year-old fighter, but this dude, Miles Price, has zero business in there with him. This is the easiest fight that Jeremy Stephens has had in goddamn, since the Danny Downs fight in like 2012 or whatever, since the Esteban Payan fight, no disrespect. Hey guys, be nice to each other in the chat. It's all good, y'all. It's all good. Like, let's be nice. Y'all are going after it, man. Hey, come to my gym. We can settle it. Y'all sign the waiver, do a 5-minute round. I'll referee it, and it'll all be fun and good. Team Octopus, Sandy Springs. That's my gym. I just think this kid, Miles Price, has no business in there with Jeremy Stephens. It's just a thing where Jeremy Stephens, he's getting up there in age. You don't want to lay a price like that on him. But y'all go to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, check out my interview with Jeremy Stephens. He said Miles is going to pay the price. And I can see it, man. This is like such a tune-up fight for Jeremy Stephens. Like, if Jeremy can't win this fight, Jeremy's got to retire, man. Like, I'm not saying Jeremy's going to beat any of the other guys, but this guy, I think Jeremy is going to take the school. I think this guy is the weakest link of the whole tournament. So give me Jeremy Stephens. Omari Akhmedov versus the Theodoris guy. Omari's minus 500. I think Omari gets it done as long as he doesn't pull an epic gassing stunt like he's done many times before. But I think at 205, he's starting to feel better about himself. He's got a lot of confidence off that last win. And he's just so much more experienced than this kid. So give me Omari Akhmedov to win this fight. Just please don't gas out down the stretch and get finished. Nathan Schulte and Marcin Held. I know oftentimes when you see a guy who lost the first fight as the favorite, it can be a little sketchy, and I understand why, but I still think that these guys run it back a few more times, and I think Nathan Schulte is getting a few more of those. The issue with Nathan Schulte is a bit of a slow starter, but Nathan Schulte is that guy that He's like a boogeyman. We'll walk you down. We'll systematically break you down as the fights progress. And Marcin Held is the guy that can be broken. And not to mention, when they fought, Nathan Schulte was just coming off winning the $1 million tournament twice in a row. I mean, when you won that kind of money, you've never seen money like that in your life. Probably, who knows if he was even motivated, but now he's taken a couple losses. I think he's probably got his head back on straight, and I think he's ready to prove a point here. So I got Nathan Schulte. Emiliano Sordi versus Delan Monte. Emiliano Sordi, when I spoke to him, check it out on my YouTube channel, he said he wants a quick 1 minute fight. Does that mean that he's going to gas out considerably if it goes past the first minute? I don't know. See, I don't know shit about his opponent, Delan Monte. I probably should have looked into him more, but let's go with Sordi. If Sordi is minus 400, I'm assuming there's a reason behind that. Robert Wilkinson, Victor Pesta, two former UFC vets. But the thing is, Victor Pesta, I haven't really seen much change from him. Look, he dropped a weight class, but it's still the same old Victor Pesta. Whereas Rob Wilkinson, like, I don't know what supplement plan he's been on. I don't know what kind of Flintstone vitamins he's been taking, but goddamn, he looks like a new man. I mean, from the guy that lost to Izzy and CR in the UFC to what I've been seeing in PFL, not even the same guy. So I think Rob Wilkinson takes care of him. Josh Silveira versus Martin Hamlet. Martin Hamlet, a very strong physical wrestler. The issue is that sometimes he runs himself into the ground with that style. And Josh Silveira, former LFA champ. I lean Josh Silveira is just, even in fights that Martin Hamlet loses, he still has some early success from time to time. So he could win a round or two, and he's a big dog here. I mean, not a big dog, but a plus 160 dog here. I lean Josh Silveira. And then the last fight, Bruno Miranda versus Nate Jennerman. I don't really know much about either guy. I know that Nate Jennerman's got the name Nasty Nate, like my brother Nasty Nate. Shout out to Nate Williams. I don't know much about him besides that he trains at Rufus Sport, so I don't have a pick there. He said, Dan, you look fresher when you have the shades on, brother. Appreciate it, man. Hey, always trying to look fresh, shades, no shades, but I was really feeling the shades when I was wearing them, but now, you just gotta do what you feel, He said letting fans hop on. Yeah, I'm down to talk to the fans, but right now I actually got some dinner arrangements I got to go to, so I'm gonna end the podcast now. Guys, thank you all so much for being here on this very special UFC Austin edition of Half the Battle. Everybody do me a huge favor. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, share, comment, retweet. Let's help this channel grow. Let's help the show grow. And if you guys truly enjoy this show, like, do me a favor and post a tweet. Mention one thing you liked about it that was different than some other show. Like let's get the word out, because I feel like when I had COVID and I had to take 2-3 months off, I feel like some people forgot about me, man. And I'm in here, I'm not trying to compare myself to anybody else, but I'm in here passionate about this. I'm in here really loving this again, and I truly appreciate everybody's support. So, I just need the fans to get behind me. So if y'all get behind me, that's how we're going to grow this. So I just appreciate y'all, taking a second out of your day to hit that like button, to hit the subscribe, to tweet something nice, to comment on this, to share, whatever the case may be. So truly, truly appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for everything, guys. I'll be back hopefully on Tuesday with Anthony Pettis. That'd be nice. If not, with someone else. Dan's Tuesday Night Contender is back. And then Thursday for the next card. If you guys are going to be at PFL, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there next Friday, and I'll be there the Friday after. So don't be a stranger. Make sure y'all come up and say hi to me. You can follow me on Twitter at Best Fight Picks. You can follow the podcast at Half the Battle HQ on Twitter, and then you can follow the podcast at Half the Battle Pod on Instagram. My personal Instagram is DFL on drums. It's no longer private. And then subscribe to Half the Battle everywhere podcasts are found. So thank you guys again so much for your support. Truly, truly appreciate it. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.